Welcome to the latest This Week's Acca podcast, sponsored by Sky Bet Acca Freeze. Tom, Jake and Jimmy with you to run through the schedule. Coming up on this episode then, there is some focus on the Premier League with two teams from the top flight making it into our 11-1 fourfold. Some away teams are discussed elsewhere and caution exercised on one side, priced at 1-3. But who may that be? Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel to make sure that you never miss an episode. And remember to keep it fun. Never bet more you can afford. This podcast is 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly. Let's start by talking last week. We were one off. Chesterfield against 10-man Salford, was it? How the hell have they not won, Jim Rod? I was so looking forward to it being the first winner of the season.
Oh, absolute bastards. I were at Barnsley Northampton game, and you know it's hilarious. I haven't got a smartphone, so I just raw dog everything. Like directions, scores on a Saturday, run back to my car, get the radio on. And at half-time, we were sitting pretty, weren't we? Couple of draws, couple of wins. Fulham were drawing, Chelsea were drawing, couple were winning, and they're going down Fulham 2. Who did they play? Leicester 1. I think, yes. Anyway, get to Chesterfield. I know they were 0-0 at half-time. So it goes, Chesterfield 1. And I'm thinking, come on, we got a massive chance. And he goes, 10-man Salford. I'm already celebrating. He goes, 10-man Salford 1. I'm thinking, fucking bastards. Bastards.
I know.
Costers.
I know. Well, I had a quick... I'm not going to take the comment section away from you because you love that part, but I did have a quick glance, and it seems to be that everyone was in disbelief that Chesterfield didn't get the job done.
I know, and... a lot of people were highlighting the fact that they've chucked in Tottenham, the other lads like Donny, a few other selections that we talked about. Yeah. They've chucked them in, and they've been let down by Chelsea. But problem is with comments, a lot of love again, which is unsettling. There's nobody saying
like it, don't you?
3 weeks, what the fuck? Mortgage is gone. Where's the winners?
Gamble responsibly. Don't do your mortgage on it, please.
Yeah, obviously no one's putting a mortgage on these picks. But Sean Scott, Dennis, regular comment, he's probably the meanest one. He's put his touch and go at the Mo, but it's not really mean. Congratulations to Gary6991, hilarious name, I love it, who he took Chesterfield out for Tottenham. Genius.
Well done.
So he's had a winner.
Well done.
I'd just like to invite him on next week's show. Can you help us out, please?
There we go. Why don't, on the topic of your kind of going back, why don't you go all in, delete your Twitter account and just get all your news from newspapers, the next day?
Yeah.
You should go all in. Like, you get these people that like cosplay as Victorians and stuff like that and just live in the past. Why don't you just go all in on it? Yeah. Get horse and cart.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
Learn by newspapers. Just live like that.
Like running the office today. Lads, Oasis are back together.
That would have been so good. So that's last week's. We so near so far the record, which I actually updated at the weekend. And I'm just going to do some bit where I can fill it until I actually find it. Where is it? Come on, where are you? Where's it gone?
3 Accas, 3 losses. So.
Yeah, where's the actual individual selection bit? Where's it gone? Why have we lost this on the website? It should be on the website. Where is it? Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
The Acca Tracker.
Well, I was Acca Tracker. That's the word.
There was a lot of jokes about my car last week. It is healthy again, but I am very much in need of an Acca win. Maybe 2 to be able to pay off the parts that I've just spent on it. So no pressure this week. Have you found it?
13 selections, 9 winners, of which we haven't had 5 or 4 coming in the same week, which is incredibly annoying. The last 2 Accas haven't had a losing team. But they've been screwed over by draws. We need cars fixing. We need Oasis tickets. As your T-shirt there if you're watching on YouTube. Another plug for that there. The roll with it.
Roll with it. Yeah,
I've
works
heard
twice.
I've
Oasis
heard,
back and obviously Wednesday getting smacked the last 2.
Did Danny Roll not fancy managing on Friday against Leeds? Or was he touchline ban or was he just not involved at all? I've heard just he's this best manager we've ever seen. But
yeah. Well, you got outfoxed by Farker, but I just think that's Wednesday's level, to be honest. Sunderland and Leeds, I think, will both be in the top 6, and as I said before the season, I think Wednesday will be between 7th and 13th. And there's every chance we go to Millwall this weekend and absolutely destroy them, being a team that are bottom half. So
2-1.
Aren't they 2-1? And
I know. Do we want to drop them in the Acca?
Leeds and Wednesday involved at 3 p.m. I want to start in the Prem though, if we're happy to talk about this, because there are 5 games at 3 p.m. early kickoff, late kickoff as well as usual. I'm going to use the word intriguing. Mm-hmm. There are some ties here that really look like they could go either way. It's an incredibly, or they could be a draw, Jim Rod. Tricky one to call, I think, in the Prem this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple down that I actually quite liked.
Maybe not so tricky then.
Well,
By tricky, I've just looked at these fixtures for the first time.
yeah, the one I liked the most is a home team, Brentford, to beat Southampton.
Yes.
4-5. And the first reason why I thought this was a bet is because Brentford, I think Southampton's style of play will suit the way Brentford want to play. It'll allow them to play a little bit counter-attacking, transitional football, and I think they'll really thrive. They really deserved that win over Palace on opening day. Couldn't get near Liverpool, admittedly. And Southampton were well beaten by Nottingham Forest, who played a very similar game to what I expect Brentford to play.
They've battered them, ain't they?
They absolutely
I
battered
could not believe it.
They
Watching.
battered them, ain't they?
Aye.
What has happened
The
there?
London Brentford spirit. I don't know if
And-
that's how they talk around there. It strikes me as a posh area. Carry on.
Yeah, I think it was. The clincher for me was that I think we all expect Southampton to be bottom four.
Bottom
Three.
Bottom
I
three, bottom
expect
four,
them to be
yeah.
bottom 2 and not second bottom.
Right, that's perfect. That helps my stat. So Brentford, since promotion to the Premier League, against teams that finish in the bottom 4, their record is 1-8, drawn 2, lost 2. So that's a 66% strike rate, which means just based on a price perspective, 4-5 is a little bit too big, and it should be a little bit shorter than that. So yeah, I think Brentford are. I like backing them at home. I like backing them at home when they're short favourites because they usually get the job done.
Any concern about the thing is that we should caveat this earlier, that Friday night, I think it is the transfer deadline. Any concern, particularly from Brentford's perspective? Tony's not been involved anywhere. I saw Johan Viss has been linked with a move away,
to
hasn't he? And
Forest,
it's kind of like,
To Forest?
yeah, Forest are just desperate for any striker, aren't they?
That's
Just
such
anyone.
a backward step for him.
I just don't
You've
get
got
it.
Cavalier, you've got Sharda, you've still got Mbuemo. I think there's enough there, and I think it's just more the style. Like Jimmy's just got the stats up of Southampton at home to Forest. Conceded 23 shots, 8 on target.
You knobhead. You just spoke for ages.
Whoa, right,
to
yeah.
say.
Jim Rod,
Hey.
I'm curious
Sorry,
actually. When I watched this game back, it did look like Forest had quite a fair few efforts.
Oh, no.
goal.
That's where you'd be wrong. No,
I just wondered what the stats said, if there's any new numbers.
interesting you say. Off the top of my head, I believe Southampton only had 1 shot on target. Forest beating them 8-1. 8-fold as much. Fuck, I've ruined it. No,
Well beaten is the word. Well beaten.
Yeah,
And they had 35% possession as well.
I glazed right over these fixtures. So when you start talking about it, I thought I'd do something different and just listen to what you're actually saying, and it fully convinced me. The only thing I was skeptical
New
on.
season, new attitude.
Just listen to it. Hey, Duffman, he's actually got some pretty good things to say.
Let's not go. Let's not
Once in a
get,
while.
let's not get carried away.
Let's not get carried away. But yeah, and I was thinking, did Forest actually batter Southampton? And then I've got the stats up, and then I remember watching it on Match of the Day and thinking, fuck yeah, they did batter them. They absolutely did.
I was at St Mary's as well, so it's
Yes.
like you say, although the away team, newly promoted away team, you never know.
We know Russell Martin. He's not going to change the way he plays home or away. He did allude to the fact. He said, I heard him speaking about the game after Newcastle and saying that first 45, that's the standard we need to set if we're going to set any chance of staying in the league. But I just thought they was good full stop. I don't think they were particularly like defensive. So I think it's good.
But were they good, or were they just playing against 10 men for a long period of
No,
time?
they were good.
Having the ball?
They were good. They were good that first half at Newcastle, weren't they?
Yeah.
You've not watched it.
No, I did, yeah, but it's
Good.
it's caveat of the playing against 10 men, aren't I? So I think you've got to kind of asterisk everything when it comes
Yeah,
to 10 men.
absolutely.
The other thing that's really unsettling, Diaz has gone from floppy hair, he tied it up against Forest. Don't like that. I think it's knocked his ability down by about
Oh yeah,
2 or 3
it's always
notches.
unsettling, isn't it? I mean, Burnley. We may talk about. Well, we actually won't because they're kind of an early kickoff. But Burnley's kind of downfall this season surely is linked to the fact that Scott Parker stopped wearing cardigans.
Yeah, and
this
he's
weird
wearing a
jacket in
£1,200 jacket.
Don't like that, and it's a lot of player appearances a big factor in this. You can chuck all your underlying data in that in, but this is a big factor as well. How just players look and everyone looks.
Oh yeah.
Brentford to beat Southampton.
like it?
Then I can get on board with this if there's a general consensus that it's a good one. I mean, the price 4 to 5ish, isn't it? I think pretty decent. I think most times you'd say Brentford at home to a newly promoted side. One coming into the back of it. Well, I suppose league game they were well beaten. Absolutely bizarre game against Cardiff, but they conceded 3 at Cardiff. I know it's a cup game. Even if they did score 5, that's
That's a good
Funny.
point, because I was thinking, shit, they've scored 5, they'll be coming in good. But you thinking that, shit, they've conceded 3.
Cardiff.
Bottom of the league, Cardiff. Yeah, all right. I'm on board with
You
this.
take this.
Yeah.
Let's go on then. I quite
Go on,
like it.
Beef.
I like to have some Premier League involvement as much as I hate the league, and the EFL is far superior. First pick then of this week's Acca. It comes from the top flight. It is Brentford to beat Southampton. You mentioned actually there's a couple of games in the Prem. We have one that we spoke about already. I mean, the only one that jumps out to me, I'm not going to say it because there's a couple there that pricing-wise interesting. Where are we looking?
Sticking with the new boys, I like the game involving Leicester.
Yes, that was the one.
With Aston Villa, 4-5. I think it's a huge price considering Villa got the job done at West Ham. West Ham, who you love, Duffman, and who you love, Jake. You both think they're going to be top 10.
Yeah.
Beat them.
Away from home, yeah.
Fun then, yeah.
Hooray!
Well
Yeah.
done.
And Watkins missed 2 sitters against Arsenal.
Oh
I
my
thought they were very
God,
unlucky to
how's
get
he not scored?
Nothing out of that game. I know, that second one especially.
They looked great against Arsenal, didn't they?
They look really good. Yeah, and it's I know they've got Europe, so everyone's expecting some regression from Villa. I am this season, but Europe hasn't started, and I think they've been really nice summer business, really building, developing a bigger squad, and Morgan Rogers is just grown into one hell of a player.
Remember when was it Borough fans that were saying that they've had Villa's pants down for the fee, and now he actually looks unbelievable.
Did Borough sign him for $1 million, and then Villa signed him for like how much? Like 12.
Villa signed him very soon after he
Yeah,
was
it
at
were,
Middlesbrough.
Well, like that, weren't
It
it?
was the January time they spent,
They played him.
I want to say
15 or 20?
13-ish, I think, roughly. I'll Google it. You keep talking about this
He was-
game and I'll give you an answer.
He just looked unbelievable last week in terms of like that midfield of Arsenal's. They could not contain him.
Well, he reminds me of like a young, not as good Iliman and Jai for dribbling, ball carrying ability. My word, he's
8 million potential to rise to 15 in the February. On 1st February is obviously deadline day of that window, having signed him 6 months ago for an undisclosed fee, which has not been mentioned.
No, that's great
Part
business.
part of 3 signings, so it can't have been a major one if it didn't warrant its own story.
You know what shocked me though a little bit? Obviously, lazy as I am, I just assumed he came off the Man City production line, if that's a thing. But Man City youth, whatever you want to call it, signed
Yeah.
it from West Brom.
He
And now
did,
he's at
yeah.
Villa.
West Brom lad, yeah.
That's a bit naughty, isn't it? Naughty. Anyway, what was I talking
Louis
about?
Barry do that?
Hey, Barcelona's Louis Barry.
Barcelona Academy, obviously. You were talking about
Why you wanna back
Aston Villa.
Oh, yes. It's been
Leicester.
talking that long, my laptop just went off. Only lost once versus the bottom 12 last season. 18 games, 5 draws, 12 wins. Versus newly promoted sides, 6 games, 5 wins, 1 draw.
Against Blades, wasn't it?
Yeah. United. Yeah, they absolutely battered us that game, really. It was almost a smash and grab.
So my main question is, can you remember what price Tottenham went off at Leicester a couple of weeks ago?
Oh, I should have checked that, shouldn't I?
What?
1 to 3.
Really?
And you're getting
Really?
Villa at 4 to 5.
Really?
Jesus.
That is insane. Then how differently do you rank them?
I think Villa are better than Spurs.
Shit, well.
But I think that's probably a price reaction due to Leicester's result against Tottenham. I mean, the performance was crap, wasn't it? The first half, they got absolutely hammered.
You warned me about Tottenham as well. You said they were unlucky, didn't you, last
It
week?
should have been 3-0 up.
They should have,
in
yeah.
that game, you know, and it's all you can say. Look at the shot data, and you know, when I put it in, someone kind of replied to one of the comments of the clips on social media saying, well, the shot map on sportinglife.com/football, you can get them all. The XG tells in that were quite low. It was quite evenly matched in the end, but the factor is that there were so many chances that just didn't end up going in, and you watch the game and you're thinking, this is just an absolute onslaught here. Like, it wasn't even that Leicester were getting chances. They weren't even getting into the Tottenham half, were they? They were just constantly punting the ball forward. A centre-back would pick it up and we'd go again, and it was just like an incredible case then. And again, they go to Fulham, and it's kind of like, you need this fortune, obviously, if you are to survive.
Yeah.
Long term, though, eventually it's going to catch up with you. And
Well, they were
Villa
thoroughly
are-
outplayed by Fulham as well.
Villa are going to be surely miles better than them. Surely. I mean, I've cursed it now, but in terms of the individual two teams, you put them side by side, and you mentioned the price on Tottenham,
Yeah.
Villa's price, that doesn't make a
Doesn't
huge
seem
deal of
right,
sense.
does it? And you talked about the price comparison to Tottenham. I had a look back how Villa's were priced against the new boys last season. Luton, they were short. At Sheffield United, they were considerably shorter at Kenny and Bramall Lane. Burnley, they played at Burnley in August. Remember, idiots across the land thought Burnley are going to stay up comfortably. We had them highly rated in some rating system. Villa actually went some stupid rating system. God, what were we thinking
about?
Anyway, they were a bigger price. They were over even money at Burnley, but I don't know.
I may have embellished the Spurs price a little bit. They weren't 1-3, they were 1-2. But still, there's a big
sure.
Yeah.
Still shorter.
I don't know.
Considerably shorter in a way.
I think for me, Villa should be maybe around 4-6. I think that'd be a fairish price.
Can we have 2 Premier League teams in the Acca this early? Can we? Everyone, we were thinking maybe not, but could we?
I'm here now. We spoke about it, and it's just the factor of Leicester as well. That again, we're heading up to the transfer deadline, but their business has been
Crap.
meh, very meh.
Yeah. Are you? You know what I'm getting from Leicester? It's not even my original thought. I just stole it from Twitter. QPR 2011-12 vibes. A couple of past the sell-by date.
Lads you've heard of.
Premier League.
Lads you've heard. It's screaming. There's going to be an absolutely mad panic buy, isn't there, on the final day? Someone who's available.
Ayew fits that pretty well, doesn't he?
Sterling, probably.
Raheem Sterling would be a great signing for them. But it's, I mean, the more we're talking about this, the more I'm just on board with taking it. I mean, they're the same price as Brentford home to Southampton. Leicester at least have a point on the board so far.
If Villa hit the levels you have against West Ham and Arsenal, they'll score at least twice.
By the time you listen to this as well, they'll know the Champions League opponents, so they'll be giddiness around Villa Park / the away end at King Power.
Heyo.
You just know Ollie Watkins is going to be seething about last week. He's going to want to make up for it.
Oh my God, we're talking ourselves into it here. This is a 2-1 double anyway before we even get into it.
I like it. I just think the price is huge on Villa.
Go on, you can have this as your away team for the week.
Hooray!
Sell on this. I think we're all talking ourselves around to doing it. 2 from the Premier League this week. 2. Rarity.
Tom's favourite league.
Rarity. 2 to come from the Premier League. Brentford to beat Southampton. Joining them, we're going for more misery for the newly promoted sides. Aston Villa for an away win at Leicester. Two from the Prem so far. We've got Brentford, we've got Villa. I have a few teams that I want to take.
Just
teased a big price one.
You said there's one that we're going to hate.
I'm going to save it, and I'm going to go for one that I think you'll all get on board with. League 2. Our superior league than the Premier League, of course. Walsall at home to Cheltenham in this one, around 3-4. I'll be honest, I did not expect to be putting up Walsall at this stage of a season, based on kind of pre-season expectations. Pleasantly surprised by them so far. Very creative, scoring goals. Conceded early against Tranmere in that defeat last time out, but I think having watched that back, created more than enough to not only equalise but to win. Of course, game state plays a part in that a little bit as well. But 4 goals at
absolutely
Swindon.
Dominated Tranmere after conceded.
Four goals at Swindon before as well. Good value for that. And it's on the other side really as well that, to me, it feels like, having looked back at those 3 games that they've played, not including the Cup against Huddersfield, or they came from 2-0 down and won 3-2, which is an absolutely brilliant result. They've been limiting the opposition, it feels, to very little. It doesn't feel like their opponents have had an awful lot of opportunities to score against them, and against a Cheltenham team who have struggled to create this season. This feels like a game that looks on paper anyway, when you put the match up, and we know football, and particularly League 2 and the EFL, doesn't work like that, but a home win to 0 when you're kind of looking at the early matchups of the two teams and how they've been performing so far. So got a couple of bigger price ones, but I did want to chuck out the kind of home team, that one of a couple of home teams on the slate that look quite interesting to me. But Walsall against Cheltenham, pleasantly surprising. As I said, a team that I didn't expect to be talking about at this stage in a positive sense, which I think just shows kind of how good they've been in the opening few weeks. Any thoughts?
Well, no. I'll be honest, I didn't. I completely glossed over this one, so I'm just catching up now with
we haven't got Tom. We ain't got a clue about this game. We ain't.
You made
scrambling around over here.
You made a very good case, though.
Looking for some smart little thing to make us pretend that we know about this game, but we don't.
Basically, TLDR on it. Walsall, good value, have created, have scored goals. Cheltenham haven't created much. Walsall also defensively have been very good at limiting their opponents.
Yeah, understatement of the century. That they've only conceded one.
That's a big
century.
That.
No, they've only conceded one, but they've Shipped an XG of 0.6, the fewest in the division.
That might be the fewest in the.
I feel like I should have looked that up beforehand.
You did, yeah.
But I'll take
That's
it.
not your
I'll
style,
take
is
now.
it? Fuck XG, that's your motto.
I'll
isn't
take it.
You
I'll
don't
take
care
that.
about it.
Gee.
I'd be interested to know if that's the lowest in the Football League.
We can find that out fairly quickly. I'd
Said
imagine.
nobody ever.
That in particular.
I tell you what, they've got their Banks' beta down in Walsall, and they're looking, going, "Oh, I just wonder what our is it the lowest?"
You
in
mean
the
you don't
entire
want me to
league?
look?
Do you mean?
Hey?
You mean you don't want me to look?
No, I do kind of.
You can look it up. Jim Rod, what do you need to talk about to fill the time? Do you want to talk about anything else at Walsall? Have you ever been to the Bescott?
No, I've never. Have I? No, I don't
It's
think
next
I
to the motorway. It's next to the RAC, where I believe in Max and Paddy's Road to Nowhere, where they break down and they're outside an RAC. I think it's that show. I'm pretty sure that's where they filmed it, just by Walsall's ground.
What's an RAC?
RAC?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Recovery people. Car recovery people.
Oh, like a lay-by? Is it where they chop down the speed camera?
Jake will know.
Yeah,
When
I've
your car
driven-
breaks down.
Yeah, when my car breaks down.
You know the
it's on the M6, isn't it?
you know the AA.
Yeah.
You know the AA. The RAC are like the AA, but orange and.
Oh, I do know
company.
what you mean.
Yeah, they're a different company.
I thought they were called RAC.
I think it's the RAC.
I think it's pronounced RAC.
Oh dear. Right. So
Oh, thank God!
Basically-
Thank God you found the numbers. 'cause
Walsall
we
have
were running out.
conceded 0.6 XG in 3 matches.
Okay.
The lowest in the Championship is 1.5. The lowest in League One's 1.7. So they are by far and away the best defensive team in the EFL across the 3 matches. So
Context then, a penalty is around 0.75, 0.8, depending on the model, right?
What's a big chance?
Chance is
0.35,
0.35 and above, isn't it?
So
So
basically, they are
effectively,
very good at the back.
they've conceded in 3 games less than what a penalty would be considered
Yep.
as a chance across the
exactly.
space of 3 games. That's just how good they've been defensively at limiting their opponents to note.
No, and Cheltenham haven't created much either. They've been really, really poor in that regard. So, yeah, I actually quite like this, Tom. I'm not gonna lie. And if you want to include Carabao Cup, they limited Exeter to 0.85, team in the league above, and they limited Huddersfield to 0.73. Granted, they had 10 men for the second half, but we're talking about a team in League Two that are showing really, really good signs. I'm actually all over this now. You've sold just the XG chat, mate. You've just sold me with
Yeah, that I didn't bring to the table whatsoever. I just
No.
went, just feels like they've been
It was
scoring.
this nerd that
feels
brought
like
it to
the opposition hasn't had much.
You
And now
either-
it all backs it up.
You either die a hero or live long enough to watch yourself become a villain.
I was wondering if you knew the rest of the
I
phrase. So I was
forgot
going to
it.
say, yeah, am I going
Was
to
it
have to dive in
obvious?
here to finish this?
Yeah, let's get them in.
I feel like we're all on board with this then. We're basically, every pick we're going is around the 45 marker. There's a
Perfect.
theme to this episode so far, but it does make up a treble that is around 4-1, so I'm feeling we could go for the fourfold this week. Premier League, we've got Brentford, we've got Aston Villa. Joining them from Sky Bet League 2, it's Walsall for a home win over Cheltenham. Four to 1 treble or so, a little bit bigger so far. I think maybe we can get away with 1 pick. There are a number of games you want to go to, or we want to go to. Can I chuck in a big price away team? And I know we've got 1 already, so it's fine. We can maybe go for 2. I like a gamble at 2 to 1 on Preston North End to beat Oxford United in the Sky Bet Championship meeting at the Kazam on Saturday. Now,
That sounded like peak soccer AM, one of those. You know.
it's going a bit weirdly Stewie Griffin.
He was,
Yeah, I don't know why.
What the juice?
Preston, I mean, if, again, like selection before, I would not have been imagining putting up Preston at this point. Ryan Lowe obviously departed. They had a caretaker in charge, kind of caretaker team since then. Paul Heckingbottom has come in, which no Jimmy would love. But in terms of the pool of possible realistic managers, Heckingbottom was probably the best that they could have got.
Sensible,
They
isn't it?
have got the best one that they could have got, really. 2 victories from 2 since he's come in. One of those being against Luton. Managed to kind of hold on and secure 3 points there. They then went to Harrogate Town in the Cup, obviously a couple of divisions below them, thrashed them 5-0. And the thing that kind of jumped out on that when you see the scoreline, you're going, okay, you don't particularly get surprised when teams in the division above hammer teams from the divisions below. But when it was Preston, it felt a bit like, okay, this is intriguing because they're a team that I think they were about middle of the road, weren't they, for scoring last season. Chance creation,
They were really low.
they must have been, I mean, obviously we had Rotherham, but they must have been way down there on the underlying metrics, right? So I wonder if Heckingbottom's come in to Preston and they know that this is a significant issue. They don't create realistically enough chances over the course of a season. So does he need to then change the system and change the way that they play? Naturally, he would, obviously, if team's not performing. But the transfer budget is not exactly there. They can't just go out and put 10 million, 5 million, however much on a striker and go, bam, there we go. This is someone who can come in and score the goals.
Whammy.
So he kind of went to like a 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1, however you want to view it, against Harrogate. A system change there that potentially is a trial run against lower opposition. Asterix, they're a League Two team and one that a lot of people are expecting to struggle, but they've still gone there and scored 5 goals. So I'm wondering if this is now an opportunity against an Oxford team who they'll expect to be down there if the turnaround isn't drastic enough at Preston to kind of push them up the table. But a game that they'll view as very winnable. And rather than going, let's go with this defensive mindset, they've gone, well, we've trialled this on Tuesday, hugely successful. We've made a couple of changes as well. Why don't we then, let's carry this on, let's carry this into the league game. And then you're looking at that and thinking, okay, if they score 2, are Oxford creative enough to score 2 back? I'm not entirely sure. It's just the big price, the price play for me on this.
He stinks of a
Just
single.
feels significant enough for me to go, I don't know if it's worth the gamble of putting them in and just saying that they'll carry this on. And it was so good at Harrogate. The trial was so successful. Let's bring it into the league, and this is how we're going to play now. And against teams who aren't Leeds, Burnley, whoever else are expecting to be, well, maybe not Burnley, where they've got no squad left. We'll be playing from next week. But to the top end of the table, this should work. And I like it at Oxford.
Bad news for the Shrewdies, Tom. They are drifting. 3.1 now. With the big firms as well.
People cottoning onto it. No. Did they?
The opposite.
Did they watch the Harrogate game?
Right.
Why not? Sky Sports Plus exists now.
I wanted
What
to
you
be
want.
with you because I love Eckingbottom. I love him. Salt of the earth. Deserved a break. Gets a lot of bad press or doesn't get enough plaudits for the good jobs he's done. But enough on him. Oxford are at home. 2 wins out of 2 at home. All their defeats have come on the road. They're not. It's not the first time in the Championship, but a long, long time away. And they'll still be riding the crest of that wave. The other thing was, last week, Brannigan missed the game against Blackburn. He's playing higher up. He was back in midweek. I think he'll start this game. Hugely influential player, especially Jake, alongside Will Vaux, who pushes him higher up. And that's why we're seeing Brannigan and Rodriguez having such a big impact on games. You said, if Preston score 2, can I see Oxford getting a result? Personally, at home, I can. I'm sorry to say. I'm really sorry to say.
Oh, well, if you go and read my column on sportlife.com/football, second plug for the website there, someone please give me more money as a well done. I have just backed Preston to score 2+ goals at roughly the same price. So, I mean, you can just do that.
Genius.
Yeah, just,
Is it actually the same price?
15 to 8 it was yesterday on Preston to score 2+ goals. Let's gamble on this big attacking change and everyone having a great time and the positivity, yada, yada. No, it's not.
No, sorry, it's not going in. The one I wanted to get in, I actually want to put 2 in and make it a nice price, fivefold. Both begin with B, both play in League One. Bolton at home to Exeter,
Okay.
it's 15, and Birmingham at home to Wigan at 4-9. And given your reaction, I'm going to quickly run through the Birmingham pitch. Wigan needed an own goal to beat Crawley last time out. It's a sole win to date.
Let me just stop you there. Birmingham needed 2 errors to beat Leyton Orient in their last game.
Did they win?
Yep. 2 errors.
But the main reason I want to back Birmingham is
Santa
because
Claus.
of their defensive record this season has been really good. They've conceded just 1.8 XG across the 3 matches. And they're starting to find a bit of form at the top end of the pitch. I know they were well beaten by Fulham in midweek, but also Wigan's only away game so far was a 2-0 defeat to Reading, and they were absolutely pumped in that game. They got absolutely hammered. And if that's anything to go by, then Birmingham could have a bit of a field day this weekend at 4-9.
Jim Rod, you hated the pick.
Clip it up. I want to hear that again when Wigan shithouse a 2-0 win at St Andrews. Can I just remind you of their record from last season?
This is the reason I was against it, so carry on.
Against the top 4 last season, they went to Pompey, won 2-1. They went to Derby, won 2-1. They went to Bolton, won 4-0. And they also beat Posh 3-2. The other thing is,
In theory, given I know it's it's only based on price, but the way in which Birmingham were priced to win the league, their street's better than those teams you just mentioned.
Oxford were the only top 7 side to beat Wigan at home last season.
That is ridiculous.
They drew at Barnsley, beat Lincoln as well. Obviously, Lincoln had their little changes and stuff like that. When was that Lincoln result? But even then, oh my God, it was late in the season, so it was when Lincoln were good.
Yeah,
I feel like probably screwed us over on this Acca, to be fair, but yeah, that's the only thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wigan somehow have some setup that means to go, you thought you were beating us at 1-5 or something. No chance.
You said it's starting to click, and you mentioned Wigan's good fortune. I'm with you 100%. Like, Wigan, they only scored their first goal against Crawley the other week.
It was an own goal.
They've been disappointing, especially for people like me and Gab. Gabe. We were hot on Wigan when we were anti-post. I'm just impressed by the job Maloney's doing. He's made us look like a little foolish at the minute. So I get what you're saying about Wigan, but I've got to say, Birmingham, granted, they are finding a way, but it was a penalty against Reading. Very lucky against Leyton Orient, 2 mistakes. They had to come from behind against Wickham, but in all of their wins, they've only won by 1 goal. They've had to do it the hard way. I don't think it's clicking yet. Not for a team, as you rightly pointed out, a 15-8 to win the league. In my book, Wickham should have ended 6-0. Leyton Orient, they should have actually blown out of the water like 3-4-0. They're 15-8 winners in League One. Well, no, the bookies set the standard so high.
They didn't set the handicap at like odds on for -2 every game, did they?
Well, that's a good point. But final thing I will say, he went so strong against Fulham in midweek. They only made 2 changes.
They've made so many signings.
They only made 2 changes. One of them were keeper, Bailey Peacock Farrell. He dropped an absolute clanger against Leyton Orient. So I think he's genuinely thought, right, you sit this one out. So realistically, he's only made 1 change. They went toe-to-toe with Fulham. Fair enough. They might be a little bit tired. This Saturday now.
Why don't
you don't want that in, so we need to pivot, find something else.
Can you
I give you 2 from League 2?
Yes.
Why don't I give you 2 and you can fight amongst yourselves? You can have Bromley to beat Crewe at home at 21-20-ish. Or you can have Notts County for an away win at Swindon Town, 13-10, 29-20, depending where you go.
I've got both of them.
I love both.
Yeah. I prefer the Notts County pick, to be honest, 6-4. Swindon have been so bad this season. They created 0.14 XG against Chesterfield, 0.26 against Walsall, and 0.44 against Crewe. So they are creating 0 chances basically on a game basis, and Notts County the opposite. Won the XG battle in all 3 matches, created an abundance of chances. I think 6-4 looks big. I think Swindon could be in big trouble this season.
I like the Notts County one. Watched obviously the game on Thursday night, which was televised against Grimsby. It was entertaining being in a group chat, as you know, of a Grimsby fan after the first 2 goals, which were offside and handball. But
the third or fourth were a cross.
The third was massive deflection, has caught the keeper out.
Goals.
So there's the caveat, but there's the cliche that Notts County was still the better team on the night. Yeah, I mean, they just create so much, don't they? And again, it's one of these matchups where you touched upon there. Are Swindon going to create enough to outscore and out-create Notts County? And the attitude of Notts has kind of been a continuity from Luke Williams under Stuart Maynard of, we just keep attacking, we just keep going, we just keep going and keep going and keep going. This is how we play. This is the kind of system that we set up. And it's early days, of course, in this season, but I mean, imagine it'd be successful enough for them to really push into the playoffs, at least. Of the 2 picks that we spoke about, it's Notts County, I think.
I like it, yeah. I had a few question marks about Bromley, obviously coming off the back of that defeat, and Crewe started the season horrendously, but in the whatever trophy it's called now, the one where the under-21s play in midweek.
Bristol Street Motors Trophy.
Yeah, they absolutely smacked Liverpool's under-21s, I think.
Oh, you can't take
but it's just a confidence
battering
booster,
children, can you?
It's a
That's
confidence
poor form.
booster. And Bromley obviously got
Well
beat
done, he's 13.
Get in there.
Out of the 2, I'd be looking at Notts County.
Jim Rod, any thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't really like either of these, but I was just looking in Walsall, absolutely dicked Swindon 4-0, didn't they? On their own patch as well. So if you 2 are so confident about Notts County, I think I'd let them go in. I think I would.
You're not going to do a
class act like that.
Listen,
you're not going to do a Joe Townsend and be like,
respect.
Oh, wash my hands.
I don't want them in.
And then come in next week and be like, I didn't want to say, but I knew they'd fuck it up. And I actually backed a different
That's a classic
sevenfold that
touch,
won.
Yeah, respect from a usual corners backer.
And that's a decent price fourfold.
I mean, to be fair, they've fourfolds 10.5 to 1, 11 to 1.
Yeah.
Again, depending where you look. it then means we can sell on 4 teams. 2 are away, but I think when you look at the individual matchups, you'd be happy. And then
Do you want to put some more in there? Because I feel like it's a very, very main slate.
You want to drop Bolton in there?
I've got Bolton in there as well, and I've also got West Brom. Or is this one of them? You can put it in your own personal one, but we're just going to have to.
I just think, given the fact that we have been so near, yet so far, on the Acca so far, that we just want to get that one winner on the board. We've been frustrated the past couple of weeks. Do we just want to go? We got 4 teams here we like.
Yeah,
it's a
nice
good price. We get 11 to 1, 12 to 1, maybe. We'll just take that.
Yeah.
And we go from there.
Okay.
Yeah, but
And then the confidence is up. We've had a few winners under our belt.
can get
Go back to doing
greedy,
the daft 50 to 1s again that nearly won that time last season.
Hooray!
What a buzz that was in the 80th minute.
That was so good, wasn't it? And then Joe got back, bollocked us.
You never do that
Enough
again.
of that.
yeah, and the boosted price got absolutely smashed. You know. Bollocks from them and all.
4 teams then. We seem pretty settled on this. We like the look of this one then. This week's Acca for the 31st of August 2024. 2 from the Premier League. We're taking Brentford to beat Southampton. We've got Aston Villa for an away win at Leicester. And then 2 from League 2 as well. It's Walsall to beat Cheltenham and Notts County to secure a win on the road at Swindon. As we said, around 11 to 1-ish on that one. Remember to keep it fun, never bet more you can afford, and please gamble responsibly. Make sure you get in touch with us on social media. Jimmy might read out your comment if it's good on the YouTube. If
He
it's
won't. He's not here next week.
Apparently, Jimmy's not. When Jimmy's back, he'll be
He'll
reading
read it
out your
after.
comments. Someone will read out your comments anyway on YouTube. Or search Sporting Life Football on social media channels. You'll be able to find us that way. And head over to sportinglife.com/football at midday on Friday. Find the link to back that at an enhanced price. And if you haven't already, please follow us and rate us on Apple Podcasts. Because I was reminded recently that iTunes hasn't existed for about 10 years or something like that. I just can't let go of the past. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your chosen podcast provider. We'll be back next week.